Hello. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampatita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Sirasanamami. Adharaniya Swami Ishtanandaji Maharaj. Actually, Maharaj and myself practically grew up together. मैं बेलूरमठ में 30 साल रहा. Maharaj करीब 25 साल he was in Sharda Peeth, probably, and then he went abroad and is the minister in charge of our Florida center in USA. It's a very beautiful center. I've been there once, and we have a very small but beautiful community, and Maharaj takes care of them because the responsibilities abroad are quite different and quite challenging also. Okay, Maharaj is a single window solution for all their problems. So Maharaj has to cater to the needs of a variety of people, a variety of demands and so on. But Maharaj has adjusted very beautifully because we always seen him to be a very quiet and withdrawn person when he was in Sharda Peeth. Whereas the duties in America demand a lot of interaction, meeting people, talking to devotees and all that. And he has been quite successful in his assignment. And when I came to know he had come to the Delhi main center, so the Bandari Maharaj said, Maharaj, Ishtanandaji is here. So then I requested Maharaj, why don't you come here? So on his way back from Guwahati, Maharaj, actually tomorrow night he'll be flying back to States. So on the way he agreed to stop. And I said, we may have a small gathering, but it will be nice if you address. So he has agreed also to give a talk. So this brief introduction, I'm requesting Maharaj to address the devotees. I didn't specifically, I said I'm not going to give any topic. It was spiritual discourse, whichever may feel, because he helps me in the West more than 2 decades. So Maharaj knows what are the needs of devotees, and probably you will find it very, very useful for your spiritual life. Namaskar, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. I'm very grateful to my brother, Swami Ishtanandaji Maharaj. Last time also, when I was visiting India, Maharaj was in Delhi. He asked me to speak and address the congregation of Delhi Ashram devotees. And now that he has taken up this responsibility of a very new center, the brand new center in Gurgaon, and it is a very different kind of a work, as I was given an introductory tour of this place and explained to some extent about what kind of work is being done here. I was really impressed on one hand, and at the same time I was surprised to see that how in a very different way our organization is opening up to serve the community at large and remodeling our way of service. So yes, both of us, we grew up together in Belmont area, Belmont atmosphere, and personally I remain ever thankful to God for this opportunity that I had to be in Perumal in the early years of our monastic life that makes all the difference. And then being in close contact with President Maharaj also, and who used to be my guru also, our guru, Swami Ishtanandaji Maharaj, for a decade. That is also not a small thing. And then this year I came with an idea to actually meet Swami Smaranandaji, our present President Maharaj, who is not doing very well in his health currently. Health-wise, it is challenging for him at his very ripe age. And I lived under his training and tutelage and care and love for more than a decade, 11 years, in Sharlapit, the educational complex just outside the Belmont gate. And I can never never forget what I have received from him. So when we read in the scriptures about Upagurus, then I put him in the number one of the Upagurus after that. So I went to see him, and Deepti Prakash was very gracious in arranging me to Maharaj, and it appeared that he opened his eyes and he touched my hands, etc., etc. It was wonderful to see him. So yes, there was no plan about giving a discourse here or a talk or anything, but about 10-12 days back when Swami Shantatmananji told me that while returning back I should come here, and then I could give a talk also after the evening prayer, I agreed. So just now I was jotting down a few points. He gave me the flexibility and freedom to speak on any topic. So I was thinking that this is evening time and we have just completed the evening prayer. So why not talk about the prayer? Because this is a wonderful topic and we should be more and more be clear in our own head about all different aspects of this subject, the prayer. We call it prayer, but in the past, in our own language, we did not call it prayer. It was not a prarthana sabha or anything. It was sandhya bandhana. Bandhana is different actually. But if we consider prayer as it is in English said all the time and make that word prayer or prarthana a little more generalized meaning word, then we see that all prayers are not equal. There are prayers and there are prayers. Yes, when it is a prayer, then there is these two sides of the prayer. One who is praying and another to whom it is being prayed to. So there is God and there is devotee, because it must be a devotee, otherwise there cannot be a prayer. A jnani cannot pray or won't pray. A yogi doesn't pray. A karma yogi has no idea about God. He doesn't think about God. perfect karma yogi, the definition that Swamiji gives. Only a bhakta prays. So it is all about the path of devotion. And therefore there are two. God is there and there is devotee. And they are praying. But as I mentioned, that all prayers are not same. At least we can have broad categorization of prayers, three of kinds. One is in which a devotee comes to the Lord with some kind of petition or request of material kind mostly, request of worldly kind. And that is the preliminary kind of prayer we think. That is the first category of prayer, petitionary. That a devotee is asking something. Devotee is in great need or is in great danger and therefore needs the help of God. So either it is a material, some object is being asked, or God's help is being asked to remove some difficulties from the life. So these kind of petitions, that could be considered as the first kind of prayer. And we know there are many popular prayers, very universal in this land. Jai Jagadisha Hare, Bhakta Jano ke Sankat Chhan mein dur kare, Jo chave phal paave, dukh bin se man ka, etc., etc., etc. So that prayer is all about asking God's help for worldly support. That worldly support is needed and that is being prayed for. But it is not necessary that we should consider that this prayer of some petition or asking God is necessarily a lowly kind of a prayer. This kind of a prayer of asking God of help to remove the obstructions or obstacles from our life, or difficulties in our life, or problems in our life, or improve the quality of our lives. And life means everything, personality, all around. These petitions or prayers have been heard of very superior kind from the time of Vedas. Om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritam gamaya. This is a petition. This is a petition to ask for removal of ignorance and seeking the knowledge, getting rid of this care and the trouble of living continuously in the cycle of death and more and more death. Emerging from this world of death and transcending into the realm of immortal, blissful, eternal life. Is not that also a petition? Yes, it is. But it is a very different kind of petition. It is not a material kind of a petition. So there could be petitions and prayers with which a devotee could approach God. And that prayer is also a good thing. Whether it is a material kind of a prayer or it is a very superior kind of a prayer. Sahana bhavatu sahano bhunaktu saha virjam karvavai. Entire prayer is a petition. It is a petition. God there in the Upanishad is not with a particular form. It is all vibrating pure, supreme self, the pure consciousness. But surely with the concept of duality, that a devotee could ask that or pray like that. So this is one prayer. And when we think of it, then we understand that why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna has given these kind of devotees also who come to Lord, who come to God with a petition, the level of a devotee, that they are devotees, they are devotees. Don't belittle them, consider them insignificant, that they are nobody because they have come with a prayer, with a laundry list of things they are asking. When the mind is not that very refined and mature and elevated, when the worldly attractions and the things of this material world is very valuable to a person, then it takes a different color, but the same mind, when it gets purified, when it gets much more refined, then it can ask for something different. And all sorts of these asking, they also are good, and they make the person who has approached God qualify the term of a devotee. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukriti Arjuna arto jigyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatasava. So if he is an artha or he is in trouble with some kind of problem he is approaching, or artharthi, he is asking for something. It could be. He has not clarified in Bhagavad Gita what artha means what. Artharthi, anything. But someone who is approaching God, not approaching the local political leader. So he is a devotee. He is a devotee. So this is the first category of a devotion. First category of a devotion. So prarthana or prayer is starting from there. Then comes the next level. The next level of prayer that you have been doing here. You have been doing here. This kind of prayer, it is not about asking anything. It is about the devotee gets so much closer to the Lord, and he loves God so much that he cannot but sing his glory. That is a different kind of a prayer. That he comes to the Lord and he talks about how wonderful, how blissful is this presence. And he narrates the greatness and the glory of the Lord in many different languages. And most of the Hindu prayers are like that. Sometimes we in the West, I am there in America for 24 years now, and sometimes we are invited by some kind of a body, say city council, mayor's, some meeting, or some other place, and there they have to start the meeting or the program with a prayer, and to make it very universal and liberal atmosphere, occasionally they will be inviting the religious leaders from other groups, not always only Christians, and that also of a Protestant kind, but religious other teachers, and then we are also invited. Now they will say, okay, sir, could you please start a prayer? Then we are kind of in a difficulty, because they are used to a prayer, the Christian type of a prayer or any other religious groups. Their prayer is very different. Their prayers are very, very deeply petitioning, give us all the good things, Lord. Be kind and merciful and make our life very good and nice, and help us in everything in this world, so that we can live in this world nicely, comfortably, free from all worries and problems, be prosperous. That is the prayer, that is the general prayer, and that is all they understand. And there, when we go and we find really struggling in finding an appropriate prayer for them. And one of the prayers from our Upanishads is the Sahana, Sangachabdam Sanpadaddham Sango Nansu Janatam, etc. That becomes our, that comes to our rescue, because it has got a great message, but at the same time it suits our way of approaching the Lord. But why it is so? Because when we go to the temple, those who get matured in their devotion, they love to sing glories of the Lord instead of asking material boons from the Lord. Like when we sing Khandana Bhava Bandhana Jaga Bandhana Bundi Tumai, or when we sing Om Himritam Tumachalo, or when in Mother's hymn and prayer we sing Prakritim Paramam Abhayam Bharadam, then we are not asking anything actually. There is hardly anything we are asking. Prakritim Paramam, there after saying every paragraph, it ends with that Pranamami Param Jananim Jagatam. I'm just surrendering myself and bowing down to you. You are the mother of the world. And it is not so much in the humility, it is in love of the mother. I am a child, I am in your presence, I can clearly see your glorious greatness, and I cannot stop from talking about this wonderful presence. And that is what I am describing. These are our prayers. When we come to the temple here, at least at our level, at Ramakrishna mutts and missions, usually these are our prayers. We are not asking, hardly we are asking anything of this worldly kind. We are talking about the glory of the Lord when we are articulating our prayers. Prayers are of this next kind. There is a quantum leap from the first kind of prayer to the second kind of prayer. And then comes a third kind of a prayer. A third kind of a prayer is when, on account of singing the glory of the Lord for a period of time, the mind gets so much purified and so much concentrated that it is 100% as if dissolved in the syrup of Lord's sweetness and loses its separate identity. And then it becomes speechless. Then singing or articulating our adoration to the Lord also almost comes to a stop. This has been explained by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He has mentioned that when singing and dancing, Sri Ramakrishna says that those in the Hari Sabhas there in Bengal, where people would be dancing, singing the glory of Lord Hari, and then Sri Chaitanya, Gaur, Nitai. Then there is one line in one of those bhajans or kirtanas, Nitai Amar Mata Hati. Nitai, that is Sri Chaitanya. My Nitai is dancing here just like a mad elephant. This is one of the lines. And in that kirtan, and there is in that kirtan people are dancing, singing, and they are so intoxicated in the love of God that after some time they cannot complete the whole sentence. They cannot say anymore Nitai Amar Mata Hati, only says Mata Hati, like a intoxicated person. And then dances and then says only Hati, Hati, Hati. They have lost their outer consciousness almost, and then after some time only says Ha. They cannot say even fully Hati. So Sri Ramakrishna gives this example, and he says Ha, and he is lost outer consciousness, goes into the Savikalpa Samadhi. It is not Vikalpa Samadhi, it is Savikalpa Samadhi. But he goes into Samadhi. He cannot dance, he cannot talk. He has lost his outer consciousness. And it is not that Sri Ramakrishna gave this example. He actually exemplified in his life now and then, again and again, so that people could understand what it is, what he is talking about. So this is another leap in the category of prayer, if we call it a prayer. Because we said that yes, prayer is about the devotee connecting with the Lord, connecting with God. This is prayer, if we call it prayer. Then it starts with one category to the next category where he is not asking anything. He is just singing the glory of the Lord. And then there is another category where the singing of the glory of the Lord is not possible in a way that is articulated. It is not possible. It is like only the individual soul is there in presence of the Supreme Soul and is just enjoying the bliss that he is merged into. He is just merged in that blissful presence of the Divine. And that is another level of prayer. So that we see that these prayers are of different kinds. We can think of. It's good. My watch is American time, but still I can see. Yeah, 15 minutes more. Now the next thing let us talk about. Is this prayer any worth doing? Means those who come to the Lord with some kind of a prayer. Think about the category 1 prayer, because the most kind of people in the world, they live in that category 1. We are trying to rise to the category 2 by regularly evenings, this prayer, singing, Kandana Vandana, etc., etc. These are the prayers of second category, next category, where we are not asking anything worldly. In those singing, we are not asking anything. God help me, save me, I am in trouble, or I need more of anything. No. We are not bringing some flowers and fruits and asking God that in exchange of this, please solve that problem. I am offering you 500 rupee worth of offering. Please give me 5,000 rupee worth of solution, at least or more. This kind of prayer we don't do when we come here and when we sing those kind of prayer. But the question is that even then, when the whole of this world that is mostly following the path of devotion, even those who say they don't believe in God, but when they are in trouble, then they start believing in God, at least deep in their heart. I have seen when I was a very young boy, one of my close relatives, he would say, "Oh, I don't believe in God," and all this thing. And then when his small boy, he had 2 sons and a daughter. The youngest son fell ill and he was sick and he was not getting cured by quick doctor's treatment and medicine. Then he started believing in God. Then he would go to this temple, that place, etc., and that he would pray. Now, all over the world, the God believing is out of fear mostly. It is hardly to be found that out of love people are believing. People are believing in God and they love God. Or they believe in God and they love God. This is a little bit less in number to be found. Mostly people they say they are believer or they don't. Mostly people are thinking of God as a means to solve some of their problems. God is the means to get to the end, which is very worldly kind. So that kind of devotee is there, lots and lots of them. But whatever kind of devotee, they must be asking this question, that is the prayer answered? Is it meaningful? Or people just have got a blind faith? It is a blind faith. If your prayer, your problem is solved, then you believe that God has solved the problem. If the problem is not solved, then you believe that your prayer was not strong enough, or your karma or some other reason was too large and big and powerful and etc. etc. So this little prayer cannot solve it. Either way, you just have a blind faith. It is not really, you don't know whether prayer is answered or not. if this is the question in one's mind. Because those who say, I don't believe in God and all these things, they have got this kind of argument. That, if you say that there is God, can you prove it? Can anybody say that, yes, I have prayed and each time I pray, my prayers are answered? How do you know there is a God? You simply say that there is one. Neither you have seen God nor you have proof like that. People can say so. But we, those who come here and we have heard about Sri Ramakrishna talking about religion, about God, we know that he said, he was asked this question. He was asked this question that are these prayers answered? Does God listen to this prayer? Our prayers? And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, of course. 100 times I will say God listens to our prayers and He will surely answer our prayers. Provided, then He get the rider. Provided our prayers are sincere. It has to be sincere. People, they are not very sincere in their approach to God. This is his way of explaining that if a prayer is a genuine one, and in that idea of genuineness is in sincerity of heart. Have you approached God with 100% sincerely? Are you approaching and praying, talking to God? Then it will be answered. Now one might say, what is that? And the answer also comes from his lips. He talks about simplicity in the heart of the devotee, like a child, that kind of a faith, that kind of a belief, which is lost with when we grow up, we lose, we say our innocence, we start doubting each and everything, we really don't believe in everything, don't. More and more we believe in the worldly things that are very physically tangible to our five senses. And that is why we say that we believe in scientific proof. We ask for everything, scientific proof. What is scientific proof? Is not a religion a scientific proof? If scientific proof means that whether it is true or not, it is not a mere hypothesis. It has been tested and found true by XYZ, somebody, and it is there available for anybody and everybody to try in the same way and find it for himself or herself. If this is not a scientific truth, then what is the science? What is scientific truth? Scientific truth is about, it can be tested. It has been tested in the past, found, and therefore that should be true, and anybody can test it and find it. But in worldly case, people's mind, they talk about scientific proof, but they are not really interested in going that way, and a lot of doubt rise in our heads. And when the doubts are there, crowding in our minds, then we don't have that belief in God. We really don't believe in God. Little bit of belief is there, and a lot of doubts are there. And that is the reason why our approach to God and our prayer to God, or whatever we talk to God, is not 100% sincere. When Sri Ramakrishna says that you have to pray sincerely, with the sincerity of your heart, if you approach God, then you absolutely He will listen to you and you will get the answer. Surely. Then He is talking about that. That is there 100% faith in God? In fact, 100% faith in God only happens when a person gets the realization of God. Or God realization, or we say vision of God, or self-realization. That is the only way to have a 100% faith in God. And it has been said from a very ancient period of time in the Upanishad. Kathopanishad says, Chiddate hridayagrantis vidyante sarva samsaya chiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. That is the condition. After seeing Him, drishte, who is both immanent and transcendent, para and avara, who is beyond and who has become everything. After realizing Him first hand, after seeing Him means realizing, experiencing Him first hand, then only this happens. Chiddate hridayagrantis vidyante sarva samsaya. All sorts of doubts, they will be removed from your mind only then, not before that. So yes, it is a fact that ordinary people, they will approach God with many doubts in their head. They are not cleared yet. It is not clear. They don't really have absolute faith in God yet. And because of that, they cannot have the kind of faith that Sri Ramakrishna is demanding. He says that like a child, can you approach God, that God is your mother or God is your father? When Sri Ramakrishna said that yes, 100 times he listens when he says, he's telling from his own experience. Because he knew that that happens. He said that whatever crossed his mind, that always happened. He said, whatever wish, not that he wanted anything worldly, but something he wished. Like he said, when I was doing sadhana, I felt like, oh, I could make a tulsi grow here, but I have to make some kind of fencing around and all these things. How shall I do that? And then everything automatically came. It just came. It crossed his mind and it happened. He thought about many different things, he has told, and it would happen. So he did not need to go to Mother Kali and pray. If it is the wish is rising in his heart, in his mind, God is listening and God is fulfilling those wishes. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says that a Muslim man was praying, Ajan, he was giving, shout very loud. Then another man came and he said, why are you shouting? Do you think God has gone deaf? He can listen to the ringing bell tied on the feet of an ant. So he said that don't shout. God can listen to the murmur that is happening in your heart. So don't worry. If you wish anything, now can you wish like a child? Can you wish like a child? And he gives so many examples. He gives many different, his wonderful parables and stories. I believe everybody knows here. A childlike faith. A childlike faith. You don't have to be a child, but you have childlike faith. Means 100% faith. Something said and you believe it fully. Like that milkmaid that disciple of that guru in that parable of Sri Krishna, who was scolded by her guru that why are you sometimes so late in delivering milk? And she said that, sir, I have to cross the river and I don't get every day the boatman in the right time, so I have to wait. And the guru said that, what are you talking about? You always make some kind of excuse. Chanting the name of the Lord, people are crossing the ocean of samsara and you cannot cross even the river like that. The guru made a taunting remark. And this disciple, milkman, immediately remembered, yes, this I have heard. Chanting the name of the Lord, people can cross the ocean of samsara. Of course, I can cross the river. And from the next day, she was coming exactly timely fashion. And then the guru again taunted her one day. You have been making excuse previously. I pointed out, and now you are coming timely. She said, why, sir? You told me how to do that. So I crossed the river. I don't need the boatman anymore. I just crossed the river. He said, how? How you cross the river? I walk. I chant the name of Lord. You have given me the holy name of Lord. I chant the name and I cross the river. And that's how Guru could not believe it. And he said, show me what you are doing. He could not believe his own ears. And that milkman said, okay, sir, come with me. And you know the story, and of the climax of the story, that she started chanting the name of Lord and walking on the river, and Guru also started chanting the name of the Lord and walked behind her, but his feet were in the water, and he, as far as he was going, up to knee deep, and he said, stop, what is it? I cannot walk. And then the young girl looked back and said, sir, you are chanting the name of the Lord, then why are you pulling your dhoti up? So you are not really believing that it is possible, that it is true and real. The chanting of the name of the Lord is so powerful that a person can do walking on the water is nothing. You really don't believe it. You don't believe in God's the glory and power of His name. That's why you are holding your dhoti. So that kind of faith, Sri Ramakrishna says, that is absolutely necessary. That if it is done with faith, then it can be done. Last remark that I will say here, that yes, we have read all these things and we have heard many different stories and we really want to believe them, but we find difficulty from where we are now standing, how we start from here. This is next. And the answer is that it is not a sudden transformation or change or a miraculous advancement in spiritual life and development will be expected, should not be expected. People should not have too much in expectation, but after understanding that this is the way and it is doable, and yes, there and the faith, the beginning, the minimum faith, like the capital money that is necessary to start a business kind of thing, that minimum faith that we have gotten in our heart from the wonderful life story such great ones, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Swami, or many, many other saints and sages, they provide us a faith. God incarnates in many, many ages only to again provide the seed of faith in our heart. And from there we have to start and continuously keep walking with those simple prayers like we have been singing in the evening or some other these kind of prayers, and the mantra that your Guru has given to you, doing them on a regular fashion and with full 100% attention paid to them on a regular fashion, a bit by bit of purification of heart must happen. It happens to everybody. In a period of time, everyone gets the benefit and understand also that we have become a little better off now. Our faith is much more superior and we are really enjoying chanting the name of Lord. Holy Mother said that just like making the sandal paste with the sandalwood, more you keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing with a little bit of water, more of this fragrance will grow and you will start smelling it. And this is how our faith, our purification of heart, our coming nearer to the Lord happens with the help of prayer. So prayer is a very powerful mean and a very useful instrument in our possession. Let us utilize it and benefit from it. Thank you.
Jannim Sharadam Devi Ramakrishnam Jagadguru Padapadme Tayosritva Pranamami Muhurmu. We are really beholden to Maharaj for giving us some wonderful ideas about prayer as a spiritual discipline. Is extremely important in this tradition because all the prayer is not something totally unknown or not discussed in Vaishnava scriptures or in devotional scriptures. But I think that is a very singular speciality of the Ramakrishna tradition, because even if you go through the first major breakthrough in sadhana of Sri Ramakrishna, the sadhana he did till he had the first vision of the mother, prayer was the most powerful instrument, the most powerful means which he used for that. Of course, there were meditation, he got immersed in all that. But largely, if you see the first major breakthrough, the first vision of Sri Ramakrishna, of Mother, that was so. That's why if you see in the Kathamrita, the most often discussed idea is prayer, prarthana. So, for our tradition, this Ramakrishna tradition, prayer is extremely important spiritual discipline. So, even the subsequent, particularly the direct disciples, Mahapurush Maharaj often always used to say, because many people you sit for meditation with closed eye, you go into some kind of a samadhi, assumed samadhi, sleep becomes samadhi. So he says, open your eyes, sit before the picture of Sri Ramakrishna and pray. He used to advise. So, of course, it's such an important instrument, discipline, and perhaps which anyone can use wherever one might be. It doesn't speak of any qualification. Even Gita also says, Apacheshpiracharo bhaktyama manannipa. So, that way anyone can use this discipline, and in our tradition that is extremely useful and the most advocated, most recommended discipline, at least to start with. So, Maharaj beautifully summed up various aspects of prayer, and finally he left us all on a note of great hope saying that wherever one might be, if you do it with sincerity, slowly the purification heart will take place. It will not be a quantum leap or jump, but bit by bit, slowly, everyone can feel at some time or other that they are really progressing. Once again, we all offer our humble pronouns to Maharaj for this talk and taking out time. And finally, we will be leaving for stage tomorrow. So once again, we thank again Maharaj. So now, those of you who want to offer pranams outside Maharaj for a few minutes, you can just meet Maharaj and offer pranams.
One small question.
Yes.
Swamiji has told in Song of Sannyasa that good, good, bad, bad, none escapes the law. So what is the effect which what is having has a cause behind. So even if I do prayer with complete sincerity, no material thing inside it, does it actually have an effect? Because what is happening is
Yeah, I understand. This is a very often asked question. See, while even Holy Mother herself says, if your karma says that your leg is to be cut off, by God's grace, you can escape it by just a prick of a thorn. So the karma, whatever might be our accumulated karma, through prayer, through God's grace, this intensity can be greatly reduced. After all, ultimately, a little bit prick, a little scratch or something, we don't mind. So one need not worry about past karma. If you know it with sincerity, slowly you will find that they get erased or greatly reduced, and then will not stand in the way of your sadhana.